Hi everyone, once again, welcome back to Unocoin's weekly live sessions. And this week we are looking at Bitcoin being at discount. So we have our special guest today, the CEO and the co-founder of Unocoin, Mr. Sathvik Vishwanath. Let's welcome Sathvik. Hi Sathvik, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Shambhavi. Doing good. How are you doing?
Sathvik, I think there's a voice lag. Okay, I think it's fine now. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm doing great because while a lot of people might be worried in the market, I'm very happy because I'm gonna get to stack more sats at a lesser cost.
Hmm.
So this is an interesting correction that has happened. Now people were anticipating $150,000 as the next mark, and with Trump being the new president of the United States and him being bullish on Bitcoin, there are a lot of things that we were anticipating. But suddenly a crash has happened of about 25%. I think 79 is the lowest we've hit, and right now it's 80,000 or 81,000 something. So, is this something that happens often, or do you see something unusual about it?
In the past cycles as well, we have actually seen this kind of crashes, um, where in a week about 30% crash is definitely. I mean, there are days we have seen 10%, 12% crash in a single day itself in the just last previous bull run in 2021, 2020. Okay, so if you go back to 2017 and such, there are days where we lost about 25% as well in a
In
single
one day.
in a single day. Yeah, yeah. So as the it all comes down to stability, right? So when more people are getting in, and it kind of goes in the wave, and once people realize maybe it is priced very high, then when the new investments does not get in, then you will end up seeing the corrections happening. And this happens in stock markets as well, or it could be mutual funds, commodities, crypto. Yeah. So within the last month alone, if you also see the stock market tickers,
Yeah.
index funds, so they have lost about 7-8% as well. And if that kind of very stable market comparatively, I mean, it's like way too stable as compared to crypto. In fact, if
Yeah.
that all can lose that, this is not this definitely should not be a surprise, and this is to be anticipated in every cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of the particular cycle, that is for sure. But a lot of new traders or the new investors that were there in the market are now latching onto a concept called all season. It's a very interesting concept that I came across very recently, in fact. And do you think that there's been a pattern of all seasons happening after one such correction in Bitcoin?
No, I mean, like, lot of times the bullish session or season don't get properly correlated to the alt session. I mean, alt season. So it has happened, but not every time, which essentially means you cannot generalize it
Mhm.
right now. So, but if I also see the price corrections in the altcoins, it's much more stronger as compared to Bitcoin. So then, do you call that as an alt season because it will now start coming up because of the corrections which happened too much? No, I would not call it as alt season, I think. So, and the corrections as well, it may, like how we lost about 25-30% in a week, 25% in a week or so. We may not see the uptrends of the same level in matter of many weeks as well. It's definitely a possibility. So yes, the market eventually has to react for this, and the prices may again start going up. So in the previous cycles, whenever this has happened, it has bounced back. So we'll have to see how it all works in this session.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And as far as bouncing back goes, a lot of people right now are saying this is the last chance to kind of get sats at the price that they're getting, and might not happen. This price might not happen again. So, how legit do you find that statement?
Yeah, I think that there is some truth in it, right? So when we were starting Unocoin, then the price which was quite like for quite a few months, it was 5,000 rupees a Bitcoin.
Oh,
Um, okay, so when it went to 6,500, Sunny, who is our one of our co-founders, right, is saying, yeah, the price goes up, price goes down. I was just trying to argue about it, and he's the first one who said like you may not see 5,000 again.
mm,
And actually, we did not see 5,000 again.
I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna see 5,000 again.
So there will be one last time when you see, and then it goes beyond it. So if you ask like, do we see $10,000 again? May not be, right? So if it is this kind of crash and then correction and going up, maybe you may see again, maybe but a limited number of times, and for a limited period of time. If the history repeats itself in doing whatever it is trying to do, I guess. So it could be true that we may not see it for long.
Yeah, yeah. And even looking at the power law theory, the price, the trajectory that it makes. So I think this is one of the only chances we can get sats at the price that we're gonna get. I think at least the next bear run comes. I mean, we don't know about the bear market or whatever the.
No, we will not know. No, we will not know what will be the all-time peak, and then if the bear market happens, what will be the bottom. So it continues to be an unknown thing. I think then people bothering about is this the lowest point, or is it somewhat higher or middle, or what? I think that that should be more like a discipline of doing investments. That's the only thing that protects you. It's not about. I see. We are not equipped, or we neither have resources to really understand the price movements and become smarter than the market. I don't think I have, and I don't think we general humans have. So there is so much of bots and intelligence systems and hedge funds and arbitration funds. So there's so many comparatively things which beyond our understanding that also plays significant role in these kinds of market, bullish market and market corrections. So either we get into that kind of trap of figuring out what we are trying to do, and see when it comes to a lot of stocks and such, so people's exit, they kind of correlate how much they want to invest and how much they want to get out. But when it comes to crypto, the real believers, they just want it cheap and they don't want to get out. So it if you just do like one wrong but trade where you exited but the price went ahead and you cannot get in back because you always waited for that price, there is a very good chance that you end up with fiat, you ended up with profit as well, but you did not end up with sats, right? So to avoid that, it's always best to just have a discipline and keep investing, and until you really really need it, it is not something, it is not like even a savings bank account. It's like a fund for long term future or anything like that, if one may call it that way, I think. So the price variation is not exciting. um, it should not excite anyone as well, because yes, instead of getting what, maybe 1,000 sats, you may get 1,100 this time, but in the long run you could have just averaged it yourself. It's not needed.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. I think that is one of the best ways to, I think, sleep peacefully at night. Just keep averaging it out rather than worrying about the bottoms and the lows and the highs of the market, because they're going to happen. And for you to keep a track of it, I think you'll have to, 24 hours is even a lesser time to track it, because I mean, when will you sleep? You want to just keep on thinking
You
about it.
cannot. You will, because when to buy and sell and buy and sell, you definitely lose the sometimes the proper profit that you could have actually like cashed in as well, right? So instead use that time for doing something else, or else unless you think crypto is your 100% full time and you're actually on it and have a team to monitor it and are capable of understanding all the trading strategies to stop loss to everything you can think of. So unless that happens, it's
That is true. That is true. I mean, again, it takes a lot of effort to be in that position to be able to, and I think I've seen very sound, seasoned, people who understand it so well. They have also gone wrong, let alone somebody who doesn't understand it completely and properly. Okay, so Satvik, as we see Donald Trump being instated as the president of the United States, and we know that it has played some sort of role in further boosting the mass adoption. But do you think that Trump is going to be one of the factors leading this bull run?
mm, I think to some extent he has played a role in his stance of like how we want to look this. Is it already? Okay, so it could be Elon Musk at one point of time, and the states trying to declare that okay, we want to have some reserves at the state level itself, maybe at the country level now. So everything plays a role, right? So whatever is the sum of like everything, all positives plus all negatives combined, that will have the effect on the price variations. So you cannot eliminate anything saying that though this is so negligible, it has nothing to do in the variation in the price. In fact, I see whatever is happening in India happens in India has extremely low impact on the crypto prices. It kind of hinting that the volumes or the total assets under with I mean assets held within India is comparatively negligible, which is actually a bad thing. But if it is not having enough price variations, then it just means it's not much. So because even recently, about 8 months ago, when we saw the hack of Wazirex, if you see now, just see how for the Bybit, it's so much of reaction is there, but when it comes to Wazirex, there's no reaction. How much reaction was there? And if you see, if you compare from that to now, I think the price have probably gone up by 2.5%, two and a half times. So if we are talking about a 1.5 billion hack right now, it probably is similar to about maybe 500 million, about equivalent, right? So 500 million about 8 9 months ago. So which is half the size of
Yeah.
it is Wazirex, but it has almost very less impact on the prices. So there will be impact. It's not like it will not be. Um, but again, depending upon what it means to rest of the world, and rest of the world actually gives more value than whatever is happening there than what's happening here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also the beauty of Bitcoin, that no nation states particularly holds so much so power to impact it. Of course, to great extent it does, but it's not in control of any particular state's jurisdiction particularly. Like they can impact it, but yeah, that's been an interesting development in the United States, because Trump coin came up, and then the crypto ball happened, and a lot of discussions been happening. I don't know what is the recent update on the reserve, gold reserve. What they were, sorry, the Bitcoin reserve they were thinking of. I think it's called SRB or something. Standard.
Yeah, it's not like a policy or rule is made yet. So some states are passing their own laws that okay, we also plan to have Bitcoin as a part of reserves. But it does not mean they'll start buying from tomorrow. It just means it gives them the permission to hold it as reserve and they can now strategize it.
Mhm. Strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, uh, So it could be same when it comes to the entire country as well, right? So no one just want to raise the price and then buy the costly ones. So they will happen. Everyone will have their own method of how they will want to handle it and such. I think. So yeah, we don't have the exact update, at least not in the complete public knowledge. But looking at the bullish cycle which turned to be bearish, it may not be close by. It may take more time. Good.
Yeah, yeah. So would you call it a probable beginning of another bear cycle?
uh, I would call it the probable beginning of bear cycle if I see this extend for at least more than a quarter, right?
More than a
Well,
quarter.
yeah, this like in 1 week. How do you reduce that? It's like wait too soon. So let's say if we go up to May and nothing else happens, if the prices is below 80 or maybe between 60 and 80, then it may actually start looking like maybe it is there for some more time and before some other macroeconomic changes happen,
Hmm.
price may not bounce back.
Yeah, but I think more than anybody in this world, Michael Saylor enjoys these sort of price dips because every time there's a dip happening, we see his tweet coming up for sure that MicroStrategy tagged more and more Bitcoins. So,
See, the tweet or the marketing part of it is different, but if you actually see the normal trends, he is buying when it is on the top as well, and he's buying when it is on the
yeah,
bottom.
he's averaging it out.
He's averaging it out already. So just that when it is on the bottom, yes, there are more tweets encouraging people to get it, to be a part of it. Else, only MicroStrategy will have it. I guess so. But yeah, he is good at having the proper averages, and also we need to think that such a multi-billion-dollar company itself are not able to figure out which is the peak and which is the trough, and we with so much limited knowledge thinking yes this is the peak and this is the trough and let me buy here and let me sell here is not going to happen.
Hmm.
Tough.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Michael Saylor is one of the people I really admire, and that is a fact. I mean, that is such a good example of dollar cost averaging your sats. I mean, that's the best way to go about with it. But also another thing that comes into play when we talk about Michael Saylor is MSTR and the way people are also nowadays very influenced to get into MSTR. So, what is your opinion on MSTR?
You're talking about some MSTR coin or what are you talking about?
No, no, no. MicroStrategy stocks.
The stocks. Okay, okay. I'm just wondering, is there any coin like I mean, you never know. But maybe today it's not there. In the next week, when you are having another AMA, we may be having that as a discussion.
Yeah, Sailor. But if Sailor does that, I think he'll be pretty much.
Trump can do it. His wife can do it. Why not this guy, right? So
But then, yeah, he'll be kind of. He'll be receiving a lot of hate from the core Bitcoin community.
then now people hated Trump. So what happened?
True. I mean, nothing's gonna happen. But this, this establishing himself as an idol would somehow be affected, I believe.
In that way, if you see, you don't need meme coins, you don't need altcoins, you don't need celebrities endorsing it. You just want the price to keep going up and keep give you the price action. How is that happening here? It's like one is feeding another. No?
Hmm.
Yeah. So some people have to make money, some people has to lose money, and some people have to strive. Some people have to work for it, have to provide services around it, have to build ecosystem around it, create the utility and use cases. So it's all like that. That's how it even grows. Else, it's just not sitting and growing. Okay. So when it comes to the stock, yes, and if people are actually trading MSTR, they know that it is effectively Bitcoin that is being traded, right? So which actually has the complete backing of Bitcoin, I think. So it is kind of similar to ETF in a way.
Hmm.
Again, just that the way the instrument itself is created or regulated is a little different, I think. So the ones who just want to be like a pure equity or just trying maybe MSTR, but on the other side who understands into what the CTF all about probably are getting into this, I think. So it is just like I would say MSTR is more like ornamental gold and the ETFs is like bullion gold. So it's like little difference is there, but both actually, I mean, depending upon the price you get in, the price you get out, it is still actually the same effect, which is proportional to profitability and loss. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that is there, and I think that is one thing that a lot of Bitcoiners do admire about Sailor, and a lot of Bitcoiners who do not believe in any other asset classes other than Bitcoin. They have also kind of diversified into MSTR, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, depending on how it turns out to be. But also, one thing that has been very interesting is a lot of times we have seen a lot of, I think most of the times we've seen the price increase in price of Bitcoin versus a crash in the price of Bitcoin have both affected at least Ethereum and the blue chips in the significant amount as well. This time, do you see that?
Yeah, see, most of times, at least nowadays, we have seen if the price of Bitcoin falls, even the altcoins are falling. Sometimes a little bit more percentage than what Bitcoin itself. But when it is on the rising trend, the percentage of increase in Bitcoin price, we actually don't see it in altcoins. So, which essentially means, people are, at least the the ones with the deep pockets, or the hedge funds or the corporations, are definitely much more inclined towards getting the exposure for the balance sheet to Bitcoin, but as compared to anything else, right? So it definitely is visible in the prices and trends, because uh, when you see I mean, a lot of categories of tokens. So some which support smart contracts, and some which are like NFTs. So like that, we actually can categorize it. But even though the competing tokens are kind of have the similar effect, but the price wise, we actually see the variation, right? So that just brings down to saying it is still not such a good time for altcoins to be to- so we want to see some effect before we kind of have any kind of understanding of like, okay, this is going in this particular direction. It is literally like a vehicle is standing and then we are predicting. So we want it to move, so we know where.
Yeah. So, one more thing, Satvik, at least for me, I have seen a lot of newbies right now coming up with a lot of tweets saying that I want to sell my Bitcoin. Should I sell my Bitcoin? Is it going to go further down? Like, of course, these kind of things happen to the people maybe who are in the market for the first time or the second time, could be the case. But how do you kind of explain it to the people? Because you don't want the liability or the onus of the statement while also kind of trying and making them understand that, okay, I mean, this you may just wait a little bit more.
So, I mean, it comes down to the understanding that they'll have. So, you telling them wait a bit more is also wrong, because you never know if this probably may, I mean, again, to what extent, when what will be the price that it can come back and such. So, we just have to simply say that this is comparatively normal, and the market have seen these kinds of corrections in the past. You can take, I mean, be just like, have the enough knowledge about what decisions you're taking right now. And yes, the prices have dropped, but the prices have increased as well, like this. So if you see about a month, well, maybe 3 months ago, the prices were lower than what it is today. So that technically means it's a crash, which will never come back. I don't think so. It's not like that yet. So people should understand you. I mean, you telling it also is wrong. It's You cannot like be giving such a financial advice that no, no, don't sell. That could be wrong as well. So if people find enough knowledge of like what they're trying to do, I think they will understand. And anyway, whatever investment that has happened, it's a risky investment, right? So people are aware of it. It's no one promised them anything, right? So when they are prepared to lose that, yes, you have put on and have the a proper meaningful return for it. It is also possible someone who have invested maybe when it is 10,000 or $15,000, for them today, if they sell it, it is still a meaningful return. But think of someone who have taken the risks in about 80 or $90,000. So they took the risk, but are not taking the return. So that's the most. So it depends also And also, but the good thing about crypto is you can sell maybe a part of it, need not be always full.
Yeah.
So plan it that way.
Yeah, that understanding and that planning is very much important. I think where that is exactly where most people happen to, like, face challenges. Reason being, we know that India's financial literacy is comparatively much lower, and that emotions take over more often than intellect does. So that is something that I believe that causes this kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD as we call it. So those situations happen, and investor education is something that we keep doing. So the best they can do is find out more resources, do their own research, and kind of stay informed about such kind of crashes. So Satvik, now that we have seen almost 79, also I'm asking this question as a disclaimer of that this is no price prediction and no financial advice. So, Satvik, as you've already seen about 79 today, do you think it's gonna go further down, or do you think it's gonna bounce back from here? And what factors do you think are required to happen, at least at macro level, something that we might be anticipating in the coming few days?
I think whenever you create these AMAs, right, you should not put a number, because by the time you actually start the AMA and by the time you end the AMA itself, it is so much of variation. And now because you made me open and see the price, it's not now at 82. Okay, so now you want me to comment whether it goes up or goes down. That's ridiculous. But see, but if are there chances of it going down? I definitely think so. Right. So, but these kind of dips usually will have. I mean, it's just like it lasts for 1 week and it goes away. It's not like a fever, right? Um, so it will still be a little bit more there, right?
Mhm.
So for the ones who believes in whatever in the fundamentals may hold on to it, or maybe even stack up something more, but else that they may lose the faith, I guess. So uh, it's tough to say what number looks like bottom to me. But generally speaking, I have always think about what it was in the peak of previous bull run.
Mhm.
Have some kind of guidelines, maybe if it means anything like that. So peak of bull run last time was like 69.70. So I strongly believe it should not go below that. Let's
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, I think that is what most people around are thinking as well, and I think the mark is slightly above only कि वो थोड़ा सा वैसे रहेगा. By the way, Bybit play a major role in causing this crash? Because right now everybody is wondering कि why has this crash happened? Of course, it's a market correction, but a lot of times we like to put reasons to it.
See, with when if the Bybit is responsible, then we were supposed to see such a huge crash on that day. But
Mhm.
we didn't even see 2-3% on that day, right? But then in the following week is when we have seen it, right? So I don't think that thing would have rolled over for up to 1 week for having that
Mhm.
kind of having any kind of effect, I guess. Um, but on the other side, the good thing is Bybit has said no customers are losing money, right?
Yeah.
So they're either getting it from their balance sheet or they're figuring out the financials themselves. So if no one is losing money, then the only thing that people should be worried about or afraid about um, is if the hacker dumps these coins, right?
All right. Yeah.
So, and if we are talking about the total market cap of um, say 1 point some trillion or maybe 2 point some trillion, and if your 1.5 billion is like what 0.1% of it, and if you only see active volumes as well, or active the one in exchanges and doing the trades and such, it may be like 1% of it. So for 1% of this thing, does it mean there is a crash of 30%? Shayad it's more to it than just what is visible to the naked eye, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And while these things continue to happen here in India, we saw again, I think this is something that I was meaning to discuss at the beginning of the session, but I thought let's first discuss the price dump. We saw no changes this year as well as anticipated with the budget on the taxation of crypto VDA in India. So that being there with this crash accompanying just I think in the same month itself, how do you think that is going to impact the customer sentiment in India, the retail market?
See, kind of whoever are in India, continue to work in India, continue to trade from India. They kind of have accepted that this is what it is for time being, right? So that having any kind of effect is comparatively lower. The ones who had comparatively bigger stashes and had entities across the world, and there are also a lot of them. It could be talents, it could be investments. Quite a bit of that because of the not so favorable environment in India for crypto have fled India, yes, already. So so eventually it just comes down to saying, uh, yes, there is a little bit higher taxes than anything else, um, but it has not got worse this time, right? So, and if there is only a little bit of extra clarity being added, so that happened this time, and which where the previous one, the other previous one, I mean, this is the third one since actually after the one which announced the higher taxes, two more happened, and then this the next one. So in between the two, what that happened did not have anything to do with crypto at all. So there is not even a crypto mentioned in the entire thing. So now that it got mentioned quite more than a dozen times in the entire budget speech, at least we can understand that it is not like no one is paying attention to it. Someone is paying attention, but it is just not the right time for them to do the required amendments, and they would know the situations of everything way better than what we are. So from our side, we just want everything in our favor. It's like that, right? So um, yes, some will happen in your favor and some won't. And also, it is not the best way of managing one's funds to have maximum exposure in crypto already anyway. So if there is a rebate or reduce in income taxes for normally it's up to I think 12.5 lakhs or whatever. So that is there now, and then the long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains have reduced, etc. as well. So if you are having everything in crypto, yes, you actually are on the very bad shape already, and don't blame government because they're taking more taxes from you. But if you follow the proper advisors and understand the risks associated, and then have maybe about 5% or 10% of your portfolio in crypto, only that small part will attract a little bit higher taxes because it has potential of higher returns. So if you start blaming the system, the creeping about it, you will do it forever. It is whatever it is, I think. So you live in India, it's the law of the land. Uh, Take it to the next step and move forward. And at least the 1% that people, lot of still many don't know that it is a refundable money. They think that 1% is gone, right? So the tedious thing. So that's also is there. So if you figure out multiple sources of income, then just pay less taxes from the other sources of income because there is some TDS here already which is collected from you. So it is not at least like TDS from crypto can only be offset crypto income. If that is the case, then yeah, it's a different screw up. So it is a normal TDS. At least like yeah, whatever we have is what we have.
Yeah, that was an interesting information because I think most people still don't know. I agree with that TDS is refundable. So that being one thing, and yeah, I mean taxes are there. So what I usually prefer doing is just holding on to it and not selling at all. But I know a lot of people must be like trading or something, so they are bound to pay taxes there. They don't really have a choice on it. So how a lot of people like to look at it as I converse and interact with multiple times, that the government of India wants you to hold on to your sat stack, and that they just want you to be mindful about liquidating it. So that is a positive spin to it.
You can always see a positive angle for everything, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would also like to believe that I think that's better than kind of getting irritated over the unreasonable taxes. That is one good way to look at it.
Yeah, and on the other side, for people who are kind of stacking sats periodically or at different points of time, now it becomes such a huge task to figure out which sats you sold, how much was the price, and what time you, what it was, and now yours, what it was bought, and what is the profit and such. Instead, you just like don't sell for now. It's better.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's the best thing to do is also, I believe. Because there's also an interesting thing where I see a lot of people now realizing uh, the inflation side to the story, because we have seen couple of instances recently where the price of rupees is decreased against dollar, and
Mhm.
significantly so. I think last time it was about 44 paisa, so it is, I'm not sure, is it officially like 85 rupees now, 85 or 86 rupees?
Something. Yes.
Yeah. So with
87 and
that,
a half.
oh, 87 and a half. Oh God. So that's like almost what, 5 rupees since last time? Because 82, I remember,
It
was
is.
yeah. So 5 rupees is almost the amount of inflation that has happened against the US dollar alone. And if you look at the inflation rates, we know that the money expansion plan says something else. And I know there are different factors as to what number comes out during the budget session. This year, I don't remember what it was. Last year was 5%. So a lot of people have come now to realizing with every year, at least the service class, every year getting some amount of raise, they kind of think that okay, they're going to be earning more this year, and they often also happen to get into a higher tax slab. But then imagine this, if you count in the inflation, you are earning lesser than last year but paying more taxes to the government. And how is that fair? Because
See, it's again, yes. For earning class, they are working, they are making money. If you see, probably with the foreign goods, whatever they're trying to use, maybe as simple as iPhone and Apple laptop, right? So those are directly correlated to the INR to USD ratio already, and so is lot of other ones as well. So the ones that you could have got from China, you could have got from Indonesia, you could have got from US or any European. So all of that actually definitely is, there is kind of correlation. But on the other side, when it comes to calculating the inflation, lot of these won't even get considered. They'll be more bothered about the price of food and such comparatively more essentials, and maybe some to some extent the rent and such. So it just makes it very skewed results that government usually comes up with, and that formula changes sometimes, actually always. So now, if for a working class who are earning well, kind of thing, so then yes, like you say, we will have to add inflation on one side, and also the price that Indian rupees lost against um, international like reserve currency, which is today American dollar. So if that is another 5%, you're talking about 10%, and that's exactly why it's very important for people to not just keep spending all the money that they're earning. So they have to do their planning of how to save some part of the money and get it into investments, which help them to fight against the inflation and also create some corpus for the long run. So how year on year getting a little bit more money in the form of like the higher remuneration because of the hike becomes on one side important. On the other side, employees are also expected to be smarter of how they are trying to do what they're trying to do, I guess. So the ones who are capable of slightly taking the risk for maybe 1 or 2% of their salary total. So a lot of them usually have got I've seen Bitcoin to help them fight the inflation or hedge the inflation to some extent. And if for ones who have done it for multiple years, definitely know the usefulness of like what it happens thing.
yeah, absolutely. I think I have made it a very interesting way of orange pilling people. At least I like to use it this way because I understand that a lot of people, the way our education system is built, the way we have grown up understanding and taking in information was an environment where we were supposed to be obedient rather than somebody who understand things and ask more questions. So I think this is the way the system is built, and I think obedience is expected out of us in most cases. So with questions like inflation, a lot of times you don't realize, or maybe if we realize, we're like, okay, obedience comes there where you trust the government, you trust what is happening, and you fail to realize the problems. But then eventually on an individual level, I think these are very, very, very problematic issues. So, just I want to ask this question. Imagine it was a Bitcoin world, Sathvik, that everything is functioning on Bitcoin. Say the economies are functioning on Bitcoin. Would you rather that everything, including salaries and everything, happen in Bitcoin versus the old system of fiat? Do you think Bitcoin is capable of it at the moment?
Definitely. So it is like, okay, let us now hypothetically create a city where you have all functions, all services, all products, everything, and people get paid in Bitcoin, and they spend in Bitcoin. So yeah, definitely a possibility exists. And today the Bitcoin, yes, people are drawing the parallels between the fiat currency to some extent, the gold to some extent, all of such already, and which actually that is making sometimes Bitcoin costlier and cheaper, making it like super volatile. But if you isolate the entire city with a specific Bitcoin, whatever you are giving there, that it should be circulated from one person to one person, so there is no new currency being created, and the taxes being assessed, and it eventually creating the development in the particular city as well. I don't see why it would not work, except that yeah, you need internet and mobile phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is one of the basic needs.
yeah. So and today that is almost like how you have food. Maybe people leave food but still have mobile phones.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar to the current system. Also, Satvik, now that I've asked this question, we know that first Indian company has put Bitcoin on its balance sheet, Jet King. A very interesting. I think it's some cloud software company. That is what the company does, if I'm not wrong. And that being the first of its kind, do you think if more institutions, more companies kind of put Bitcoin onto their balance sheet, that is going to kind of stimulate the government to make positive calls? Because even for that, I'm yet to find out how are they managing with the legal parts of it, or the financial parts of it, because there are no clear regulations for it in India as of now.
See, it's not there is also a place where people want to play around and see where it leads, and when it comes, whether they either are adhering to it or they have to stop the activities. And because the regulations is not there and you're doing it, does not mean you're doing it wrong, right? So Jetking, which at one point of time used to provide networking education. There are courses called CCNA, CCNP, and all, which is like Cisco certified professional network related certifications. But that went public. I don't know, maybe some 10, 15 years ago. I don't know when it was. But the not much activity was happening in that. But now that the entire company has come out to the next generation, so the children have taken over and they have seen this to be one of the trying to mimic the micro strategy play here in India. That's like it's good, right? So right now, from my knowledge, they are not selling equity and buying the crypto yet, buying Bitcoin yet, but with the balance sheet, it's with the money that they already have. They have bought some Bitcoin already, and it also a publicly listed company,
Yeah.
right? So which essentially, if someone is buying the Jet King equity today, they are buying equity of a company which also have some exposure to.
Some sad
That's what the present situation is. But going forward, if they are able to figure out the rest of pieces of like, see, it's not all. It's also not always about not taking any risk. So understanding what risk you are taking and what you are trying to achieve. and what is the worst possible downside and possible upside, and then do that. So but if they are able to figure this out, yes, we will have some kind of micro strategy kind of company here in India as well. And I believe a company like that definitely have a good future.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it'll also do a good work at inspiring other companies as well. Very recently, I've been coming across individuals who are they're kind of influenced by the whole Jet King move about, taking some Bitcoins onto their balance sheet. And people have been inquiring about it. So I think Jet King is also working as an entity that is going to set an example and a little framework for these other companies to follow onto their pathway and see how the things function. Might be correct, might be wrong, but I think they're leading the charge towards it. An interesting part is that a lot of companies are now taking interest in doing that. And I think once that happens, we can see some sort of ease from the government, is what I believe. And I think also on an individual level, we'll see more adoption because probably that will influence the individuals as well. But right now, the misinformation that is around regarding Bitcoin, and it's quite insane because people have put. So there was, as I remembered, one of the exchanges put some sort of a stall in the Mahakumbh this year in order to promote Bitcoin, in order to promote crypto. But the basic question right now somebody would ask is, Bitcoin is so expensive, how can I buy it? Like, they think of Bitcoin as an entire thing, like you can't buy a portion of it, is their perception even now. So, do you see that being or that getting better anytime soon?
Nah, uh, if it has not got not got better till now, I mean, I don't know what else you should do newly that will change that kind of perception. So every possible way of um, giving the information that people can buy Bitcoin for even 100 rupees, that's like available everywhere, but they still don't get it. It is very similar to people thinking like, okay, I know about it, it's not possible, okay, leave it, kind of thing. um, so I think that is the kind of attitude we actually see very uniquely in India. But when it comes to other countries, right, so they're comparatively knowledge hungry to figure out what they don't know. But here, people always think they know more than what they actually know, sadly. So yeah, and unless one dips their feet to understand what is going on, and they want to invest, so that attitude or just like assumption of one Bitcoin is so costly, and that is actually one of the reasons why people went behind the Shiba Inu and Doge. So seriously, I mean, it's a fine. I mean, like it is like, okay, you have blue chip and then you have like little risky asset, but people have just gone all in on Dodge, all in on Shiba Inu, and it's like scary
It is indeed. It is indeed.
to a great extent. And sometime they will have to figure out and at least correct their portfolio diversification. It will just help them, I guess. So yeah, people are not happy if they have like 0.01 Bitcoin. That would have costed them a lakh rupees or something like that. So if they want one. Even one is not happy, I guess. They want to see a number which is like 8 digits long, 10 digits long.
Impossible. I think for any middle class individual, it's impossible. Even upper class individual, it's impossible getting so many sats and all. So, Satvik, just a fun question. What is the funniest misconception you have heard about Bitcoin?
So many misconceptions. It's actually tough, but like you say, I think not able to buy a full Bitcoin and they don't want it is probably the most. In a way, it is sad, and it's also funny.
It is, it is. So, the funniest misconception that I have heard about Bitcoin was very recently. Somebody middle aged, I was just talking to about Bitcoin, and he happens to say, ki, Are, there's this Satoshi guy sitting in Russia and he controls the price the way he wants to function. So, now that the war and everything is happening, so that's how he's being used by the Russian government to fund the wars and everything. So that was the funniest misconception that at least I have heard in the recent times.
It's about, I think, about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when we were sitting in our Tumkur office, me and Harish. So they get a call. Um, so he is speaking in Telugu. Okay, so he just says that he has Bitcoin and he want to sell. And we were asking, okay, the how many Bitcoins you have, and at that time. We were still interacting a lot with customers, right? So it's not now, which is now it is much more online. So he says he has about 12 of them and he want to sell. Okay, that is good. We'll have to go to our thing and create an account, and then you can sell it. And then he says, okay, then shall I courier you Bitcoin? He says, what are you talking about? I mean, all of it is happening in Telugu language. Okay. Yeah. So he says, yeah. I'm like a coin collector. I have all types of coins that you can think of. I have Bitcoin also. If you want, I'll send you all coins. You hold what coins you want and give me the money. I said, oh my God, this is like next level. I cannot.
Actually, this can be featured in one of your tweets that this sort of an instance has happened.
So see, it's no one's mistake. You I mean, at least today you guys should be like, I mean, everyone should be so happy. Within last 3 years or 5 years, people have understood what is Bitcoin, and our company is 12 years already, right? And now imagine for the first 7 years how much of struggle we took to tell people what is Bitcoin. Forget about you don't buy, okay, don't buy, don't consider nothing. The first thing you try to tell technically a little bit, they think it is something out of their mind and don't cannot understand. If you try to tell in extremely simple language, they cannot draw a parallel. And if you try to tell like the uh, like how the prices are kind of increasing, they think it's a scam. So there is almost no way you can leave them with a make them leave with a positive impression of they learned something. Yeah, it was like the toughest of of the time, at least till 2017, to actually explain people what is Bitcoin. Only very small people knows. Media actually is not at all covering in any way. At most getting one article a month is also like tough, where it just mentions the word Bitcoin, right? So but glad to see where we are right now. It's also a long
Yeah,
way.
it's quite a leap, quite a progressive leap, I would say. And now that I see there's a whole new generation of Bitcoiners that is working towards education, towards empowerment, towards the different tech aspects of it. And India has got actually a great number of Bitcoin open source developers as such. And I think on that side, India is contributing well enough, I think. So that definitely is, I think Summer of Bitcoin played a great role about that. And now I think Bitshala, another organization, is doing great in the same aspect. And I think more initiatives. I don't think, Satvik, at that time there were as many initiatives around Bitcoin education at all in India.
Absolutely nothing. See, again, when there should be a demand and there should be a gap in the market, right? So for someone to actually have a business there, in that particular thing. So uh, I think till at least 2016, or maybe even some part of 17, we were the only business talking about Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin to Indians. So yeah, that's what makes me now wonder what kind of struggle it was to even like tell about what we do. And at that time we had a very strict policy, internal policy, that should never say that Bitcoin price is going up or it can go up and you have to buy. So we were like 100% careful not to even talk about the appreciation. And now we tell that, okay, if you see the graph, it looks like that. So directly, indirectly, there are some hints that actually the industry itself projects and the company's projects as well, even though it's not like super intentional and not direct. But at that time, it's not even that, not even that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine totally. Right now, I am glad that I get to talk to people of a similar mindset and I get to engage with them. I can understand what kind of a struggle would it have been for you guys to not be able to talk to like sensible people who are willing to understand Bitcoin at all, let alone, who know Bitcoin like from before itself.
I think we should have started doing AMA at that point of time. We would have got
Yeah.
in 2015, 16, 17, 18 and all. It's like, yeah.
That would have been a great thing, but at that time also the internet wasn't as widely available as it is today. So communications and I think social media has also played a
Yeah.
great role in it. But something that I also see that internet has been doing, which I think could be used in a in a different way. Right now, I see most finance influencers, all of these finance experts, as they like to call themselves, their podcasts and stuff. Not one podcast do I see that is about general finance that has got a genuine crowd who listen to them, who are kind of following them to gain some sort of good knowledge, talk about Bitcoin, talk about the benefits it has. So,
If they talk about Bitcoin and people, if they identify the potential of Bitcoin, they will not listen even to the rest of the talk. Okay, so they will actually lose their own followers, or unless they are changing themselves to become like the
OG Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, no Bitcoin kind of influencers or crypto influencers. So that's why we actually don't see a normal financial influencers talk about Bitcoin, and it is like losing the confidence of their own audience. It's actually not a key nature, and the lot of whatever they do is because of the money they get for endorsements and such as well, like quite a bit. So all of that combined. So, yeah, they get it's very rarely they may just touch upon the Bitcoin or any crypto topic, but just say that okay, you can only invest whatever you're prepared to lose, and it's high risk investment, and that's pretty much it. They will not go a little bit deeper of like why it exists, what is the difference. Uh, it's so tough. But it has been so tough for us, when even in the year like 2000, 2020, 21, 22. Um, when we try to show how a transaction in Bitcoin works, they say that no, the faster transactions happen on Paytm. Okay, now try what to explain, right? It's like yes, there is Paytm and of the for this like no one. Okay, how does it make a difference? It all comes down to that, right? So I think to some extent, again and again, telling from various media about like what it is all about and how it is different kind of made some impact for sure. So, and when it comes to the newer generation, which is what I'm always exciting, which always excites me about this, because they usually learn about blockchain, they usually learn about Bitcoin in one or the other way while they are entering into the actually doing anything in the real world of either employment or business or anything like that. So in about 5 years or 10 years, no, you definitely don't need to explain like how you don't need to explain what is money today, even though no one knows about what is money. But at least when it comes to Bitcoin, you don't need to explain what is Bitcoin. So
Yeah. Yeah, really looking forward to one such time, and I think the coming days will be about it because at least the generation that I see that is joining the workforce is starting this year. Maybe the ones who joined later in the last year, they're questioning everything. Very cranky people. So they have Gen Zs, as we call them, as they're entering the workforce. I'm also one of the Gen Zs, but I'm one of the early Gen Zs, so I think I was a little different there. But I think the way they're questioning everything regarding the way ecosystem works, the way their life should revolve around work, or the way work should revolve around their life, and the pay that is coming out of it, the kind of inflation that is happening, in general, the lifestyle upgrades. So they've got very legitimate questions. I think they'll find all their answers once they get into the rabbit hole for themselves. So I think I see a great chunk of this working force getting into that rabbit hole for themselves.
see, I feel they just enjoy the act of asking questions for time being, right? So because they don't ask questions just about crypto or fiat, they just ask question about everything, anything in the life. They find some answers, that's true, but they also have to realize that the world is definitely not a perfect place, India is not a perfect place, and they have to put their efforts to take it a little bit closer to being perfection, right? So um, that is the thing, at least for me. The way they're getting so much involved in internet and the social media, sometimes scare me, saying that okay, like in another 3 years, 5 years, what does it look like for them? If everyone want to become an influencer, then who is actually sitting and watching?
Yeah, who's a non-influencer then?
Yeah, so and everyone want to make money out of the content, and it will be the content actually maybe in another 3 years, 5 years, because of all the new technologies coming up, the technology may become so easily available for everyone that the content will become super inexpensive. So at that time, then what are these people trying to do? So it's like that, right? So everything that the contents that is getting generated right now, are irrespective of how much humans actually sit and watch, there are learning programs which are learning based out of it, and becoming smarter to actually create more smarter content later on. And the moment it can start creating more smarter content than normal humans can, then it is all about machine generated content anymore, right? So you technically don't even need to be like there for you to talk like this and even interact, and I don't need to be there. It could go in that particular direction. So these are the things that sometimes like scare me. Is it possible, like, if I don't even exist on this particular chair, and it can completely be faked to such an extent that,
It can be.
yeah, not yet today.
Not yet today, but it can be. Definitely, future
See,
holds
see,
such
it's so
possibilities.
logical that it will go in the direction, right?
It
And
is pretty much.
yeah, and then so then your time is not like a limitation, right? So you can be available at 10 different places for 10 different live shows at same point of time, and neither you need to be available, right? And the content need not be whatever is kind of decided. It can be uh, spoken from one person to one person, and to and fro interaction, because of the intelligence software that's and artificial intelligence that is already available. So then what is the scarce resource in generating content? Actually nothing is what actually is getting. But anyway, so that is all like the non-crypto stuff.
That's like a rabbit hole of what is real and what won't be real anymore after a few years.
It's more interesting than crypto. It's at least interesting like crypto and Bitcoin rabbit hole, but
Oh,
with
it is very interesting. Yeah, surely, and I think that is the interesting part about understanding one side of such things, and then you just keep thinking about it. You don't know what's gonna happen, and then you're like, "Acha, okay, abhi nahi ho raha hai na." Then we'll see about it when it happens. At least that's how I pull myself back in. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's a very intricate rabbit hole at that.
sure, sure.
Okay, so I think Satvik, today we have reached the end of our session, and I think for all of our audience today was particularly very insightful because we keep getting questions on price and we keep getting questions on whether to buy, whether to sell. While we did not answer anything explicitly on that, but I think this was informative enough for you to understand and take your calls in on that front accordingly. So I hope you all enjoyed today's session. Thank you so much, Satvik, for taking out the time and being here with us today. We'll see you everyone once again next week, same day, same time. Till then, bye bye.
If there is one last thing I have to tell to people:
Hmm.
if you want to sell, then sell, but at least don't panic sell.
Yeah, don't panic, sir.
That's it. Yeah.
Like think about it, make rational decisions that you have to. Okay. On that note, stack sats, stay humble, and we'll see you again soon. Bye everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.